Welcome back. We are talking about emotions in learning. How can emotions help you in learning? What kind of emotions do you actually go through when you learn that can actually help you? So today we are speaking to motivator Ahmad Zilhaimi Zainuddin, also known as Zil.
Yes.
Welcome to the studio. Good morning.
Welcome to the show.
Great to be back here.
Thanks for joining us.
We love the t-shirt as
Yes,
well,
of course, yeah.
as usual.
Love and respect. Good motivation, especially this early in the morning. You know, we need drivers to get us through the morning.
Yeah.
So we're talking about emotions. So first of all, what are actually the emotions that are typically associated with learning that you want to actually highlight?
Okay. Before I address that, I'd like to share with the viewers and you guys as well why our emotions are so important in learning, right?
Yes, please.
I'd like to begin with a question, right?
Yeah.
I always ask this question in my class. Have you ever been in any situation where you were doing something so important, which is an important task or anything like that, and then suddenly involves a lot of thinking and you went blank? Have you ever been in that situation before?
Not a time.
Yep. So let me just share with you a bit of my story. What happened to me when I was in university, in my final year, I had chicken pox during the exam time.
Oh man!
During university?
Yeah, during my university. I was in UiTM last time, UiTM Shah Alam.
I see.
Yeah. So what happened was, when you get chicken pox, you're not allowed to take exams with the rest of the students. You have to be quarantined in another section where you take separately with all the other chicken pox, all the other students.
God,
yeah.
more than one.
Yeah. So what happened was we were in a class full of people with all the diseases, right? Chicken pox and all that.
I see.
And I did my studies very well. That means I prepared thoroughly. But what happened was when we started the exams, the first, I think about 5 minutes, I went blank. I couldn't remember anything. Seriously, I studied quite thoroughly, but I couldn't remember anything. And then I asked myself, what happened to me? I mean, after that, after about 10-15 minutes of doing breathing exercises and just doing some prayers, I managed to get to that state. But I always asked myself, what happened to me at that state? Why did I go blank? You know? So, and I've done a lot of programs for our students, right? And parents as well. So what happened is, I finally found out what happened was, I will actually, if you see in the slide, later they will show a slide, right? About how our brain functions.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of research on the brain, and one of the things that I like the most is a research done by one guy named John Joseph from Australia. He talks about our brain function, and he actually divides it into different colors.
Yeah.
The colors of the brain, right, will determine the different functions of the brain, right? So what happened to myself is, I was in a very state of anxiety, and when you have chicken pox, you have a lot of things going on through your mind. So what happened is when you are in a state of anxiety and you have fear and nervousness, it stops the function of your thinking part of your brain, which is the blue color of your brain. Yes.
Okay. So you said that emotions are important, right?
Yeah.
So how do we prevent these kind of blackouts?
Okay. What I always share with parents, teachers, right? It's critical for us as educators, as parents, right? For us to provide a very positive environment for the students and our children. Because when we have a positive environment and a loving environment, our children tend to be more confident, right? And they tend to excel not only in their studies but in their life. But when they are in a state of fear and anxiety, that's when the function of the brain goes into the red room. Okay, let me explain a bit on the red room. This red room is...
You mean of the brain?
The function of the brain red room is called flight or fight, right? It's when you are in the state of the brain, you cannot think. Your access to your thinking is being cut off, and you are only in that state where you only fight. Either, say for example, you're being threatened, you fight back, or you run away. So that's what happened to most students. Why they're not interested in their studies, they cannot study, and they also are some cases where people go blank during exams. It's because they are, before the exams or during the time, they are under extreme stress and anxiety.
Okay.
So we must provide that environment where we must make sure that the environment is always positive for students to learn and maximize their learning.
Okay, so we need to turn that negative emotions into positive emotions. Now, please, could you please specify what are these positive and negative emotions, especially the ones that we have to avoid and the ones that we have to cultivate?
Okay, like for myself, like when I do classes, right, I always start the classes with a lot of positive words, right? Like we paste positive words on the wall, like love, respect, fun, joy, you know, that kind of thing. You know, things that make people enjoy the learning. Right? But we must avoid, like my mother always shares with me, avoid using words like, sorry to say, bodoh, you know, like kurang ajar, or all these words which is negative, which actually creates the student will go into the red room.
I see.
Right, so that's why when I sometimes I teach in school, I'm not talking about all teachers, but there are some teachers who start the day in assembly, they start with shouting. So when you shout, right,
Tell me about it.
you actually make the students go into the red room. When they go in the red room, that's why you see in the class, right, students are like, they don't want to study, they're running about and all that. And I was one of those students. I was like, everybody studying, and I'm in the back of the class playing games. Because I just cannot concentrate on the studies. Yeah.
I wish my teachers had a chat with you last time.
Okay.
Now, of course, all right, how do we actually use this emotion to maximize our learning? Or how can parents out there actually use emotions to maximize learning for their children?
Okay. One of the things that I always share with parents, right, sometimes we cannot avoid it. Sometimes we go through periods of stress, anxiety, right? Sometimes we have a bad incident and we go to that, and immediately our function will go into the red room. So when we go to the red room, we are not, our thinking is not straight, and sometimes we go blank. So what I do with parents sometimes I ask them and their children to do deep breathing exercises. Yeah, you breathe in and you breathe out, and that is psychologically one of the fastest way to actually switch from the red room to the blue room, which is the thinking room.
Oh.
Yeah, and like for myself, I do a lot of prayers and breathing. And one of the ways that I find that the most powerful ways for us to cultivate positiveness and the EQ part is love and gratitude. When you have love inside yourself and you're always in a state of gratitude, like you wake up feeling grateful for everything that you have in your life, then you are always in that form where you are the thoughts, right? You can just like, your thinking is just very, very clear. The words that you say is very positive, and you can actually impact people that way, you know?
Good tip.
Now, especially for what you mentioned, at the school assembly, when your teacher starts the day with shouting and telling you things that you should not do,
Or
not
bosses as well.
not praising you for the things that you did well. So, for children like that, especially primary students, some of them cannot, really manage their emotions well. So, what happens, especially us as teachers or parents, when the student or the child is not able to manage their emotions, for example, anger or anxiety, especially after being scolded. So what do you do in those situations?
Okay, there are a few things I do, but usually I share this story where a child, right, the development, the brain development, 80% of the brain development is from 0 to 6 years. So what happens is, this is the foundation of their belief system. And after the 6 years, the result is whatever action they take is based on the 0 to 6 years.
Okay.
So what happens if you put a lot of negative input in a child when they're 0 to 6 years, the moment they come out after that, they have a lot of problems. They have anger issues and emotional issues. And this is what happens. But when I study successful students, right, those students who are very successful, the chances are from 0 to 6 years, the parents have put a lot of very positive input inside them. So I strongly encourage parents, right, for them to always put positive input. Like for me and Mushida, we always put love and respect in our daughter Munira, right? Because, and then you can see from her now, she's very confident.
Very good. All right, let's fine-tune that a little bit, right? Now, lots of parents out there, they'll be thinking, Ayo, how lah? Sometimes the kid really gets you up here, They make you so angry. They are really rude. They really do things against your will, right? So, what do you do with them?
Okay, that's a very good question. Right? I also go through sometimes, because my daughter is very hyper. She runs around. Sometimes she gets on our nerves as well. But what I did was, I studied neuro-linguistic programming, which is the programming of our brain and our mind.
You hypnotize your kid.
Yeah, no, not hypnotize. But what I do is, because I also study energy, which is also related to that. What we do is, we always operate in a state of love, because love is actually a very powerful energy. So what happens is, when our kids are, usually when they are emotionally, the anger is something that is a link to their belief system. Something happened, an incident which they link to an anger emotion, that's why it arises. So what I do with parents, usually what I ask them to do is, you must, first of all, think of your loved ones. Right? You think of your loved ones, and you can actually get, what I do is I get them to imagine themselves in a ball of love. in a pink ball of love and take this ball of love and channel it to their children. It's like, you know, you see the Marvel stories, right? The superheroes, right? They take energy and they fire on people and people fly, right? You actually can, scientifically, you actually can do that. You can actually take the love and you actually can channel on somebody. Yeah, and it's actually amazing. You can, because for me, I've done a lot of counseling for troubled students. Right? Every time I start the class, I always start with channeling love to the students first. And I can tell you, it's amazing how in just a very short time they transform from being very angry, from being, you know, very abusive. They become very, very loving and very caring.
Okay, so you start the day by channeling love first.
Yes.
But what if, you know, as he said, they get on your nerves, you have to scold them, but you want to maintain that safe environment. How do you do that?
Okay, what I do is, if my daughter, right, did something wrong, what I do is, I have to tell her that she's doing something wrong. But I do it in the best and sweetest possible way. For example, if my daughter, like, she's running around, jumping on chairs in this danger, she might fall down. I just say, Munira, I said, please do not do this because it's dangerous. If you fall, right, you might hurt yourself. So I sometimes I also remind her, like, I say, remember the last time you fell down, and then how did it feel? And she said it hurts, right? And after that, she stopped doing that.
That's
so
very nice.
It's better than because actually empowerment, giving empowerment and encouragement is better than fear methods. Because when you have fear, immediately you go into the red room, your function. That's why children, they become worse when you scold them. That's why I'm not really strong. I don't really believe in scolding as a method. That's a last resort, but for me, I believe in giving empowerment first.
Now, some parents out there or some teachers out there, they still believe in the method whereby they make the children link not studying to the cane, or link not studying to some very bad job in the future. So that makes them, okay, study. Does that work nowadays in the 2012? This century at least.
For me, right, I did a lot of research, right, and one of the leading experts on emotions, right, is Daniel Goleman. He wrote the book Emotional Intelligences. Right, so what he says, right, he did it in 1995. He says students who actually are brought up in a very good emotional state, a good state of IQ, they tend to succeed more than students who have high IQ in their relationships, in their career. So knowing this, I think for us, for those who are aware, like myself and for you guys, we must share with the educators and teachers. We must tell them that this method actually does not work because it puts the students in the red room where they cannot think and they cannot study. So, but now there's a lot of awareness actually. I go to schools, a lot of teachers are aware that this method does not work anymore.
Very good.
And if you see programs and documentaries, they are actually trying to change this way of teaching, more towards a loving and more towards a interactive kind of learning.
Wonderful, right? Okay, that's very well said, right? Thank you so much for sharing the secrets of the mind with us, right? So is there any concluding message, short one to the viewers out there?
I would love to share some good news with you guys and also the viewers.
Please do.
I got an opportunity to co-author in a book which is going to be published in the US by a best-selling author named Pat Wyman. He talks about how to learn faster and better, right? So the book is going to be launched in August, right? And it talks about 101 ways to get the best grades or amazing grades. So this I would love to share with parents. It's going to be launched in August, right? So I would love to come back on the show to actually share more about this book, where I'll be talking about a lot on emotions.
Okay, so you're one of the contributors.
Yes, I'm one of the contributors. And the good news I got from the publisher is this book is going to be featured on the Ellen DeGeneres show.
I see.
I don't know whether I'm going there or not, but the book is going to be featured because
Very exciting.
It's actually a goodwill project where corporations buy the book in bulk and they give it in charity to schools and to students.
Well, Hello on 2 is just as good as Ellen DeGeneres, right?
Hopefully we will have you back to talk about the book. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, telling us about emotions and learning. We'll see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you to you guys as well for
Channel some of
staying tuned. Channeling some of that positive energy.
I feel it.
Super saya.
Yeah, thank you.
Dragon Ball. Reminds me of Dragon Ball somehow.
Abugan, Street Fighter.
We are moving on. Yes, that was some positive energy. We're happy, a little happier now. Now,